Some darn good chili going on here. In case you've been wondering where I've been all this time, I spent a week and a half just making chili. It was a wonderful pot of chili, though. It took a week and a half to make, but oh man, it's so good. But listen, it's really rude to eat in front of people, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the reason for the season here, which is the SNAPMAP Top 5. Now, I played about 19, 20 maps this week, something to the tune of that. Of course, I had my little break to go to the Music is Art Festival, but I'm back. I had time to play some maps. Some of them were great, some of them not so great, but you know what? I did what I always do. I evaluated them, I checked them out, picked out the ones I liked, didn't like, and I'm going to show you my 5 favorite, along with some other ones that I upvoted. So, by the way, if you would like your maps considered for the top 5, go ahead and leave your map ID and a brief description of your map in the comments of this video, and I'll add it to my review schedule. It's all you got to do, and I'll be happy to check it out. But speaking of checking things out, let's go ahead and check out this week's top 5.
Getting us started at number 5 this week is Arcade Machine PAC-MAN by RubyCancer. I was really digging what was going on with this one here. It's definitely a fun, lighthearted, different sort of thing to engage in. Now, first of all, obviously, you're not going to have the Doom experience per se with this map. It's definitely more Pac-Man than Doom. That said, it does marry the concepts pretty well. I thought that was pretty cool. For example, it does have a live system, just like Pac-Man does. One-hit kills, just like Pac-Man. And it's a collectathon-driven experience with no weapons, save, of course, for those power pellets. Now, in my opinion, it was a very good rendition of the Pac-Man style of gameplay in Doom. It managed to include virtually all of the Pac-Man elements in a good way. It had a nice little challenge to it, trying to hunt down those dots and have some strategy involved when you're deciding when to grab those power pellets, which in this case are represented by Berserk power-ups. It's a really great way of handling that. Now, some things I did cite about this, despite the creativity there. I mean, one of the realistic problems there is there's some severe mob derp going on with the specters that are used to represent ghosts. And the other thing I thought was really weird is that, unlike in Pac-Man, where you can never die if you've grabbed a power pellet, I feel like pretty much every single time I died in this map was right after grabbing a power pellet, usually when I had my back to another mob that charged me. So that is something to think about. I'm wondering if maybe, altering the code in a way so that when you grab a Berserk, you end up with, 900 health or something like that, just to sort of prevent that sort of thing from happening. But all in all, the translation is really fun here. It's a fun little score-driven challenge, has some great replay value, and it's part of a series of maps by RubyCancer in which RubyCancer is trying to bring some other arcade classics to Doom. And I'm looking to check out some of those other ones and see how we did. But in any case, if you're looking for just a fun, distracting thing that won't take you too long to play, definitely check out Arcade Machine PAC-MAN by RubyCancer. That's RuYet2P. Number 4 this week is Map 4, Evil Dead Cabin by watstha, and I swear that's a coincidence, but in any case, this was an awesome custom geo recreation of some of the sets from Evil Dead 2, most notably the cabin, which is of course mentioned in the title, so you should expect to see that. Very creative use of custom geo all throughout this map to create the woods, the cabin, the basement underneath, even the car that Ash arrives in is all lovingly recreated in full custom geo glory for this map. I thought it was really, really cool. Now, as far as some of the other nuts and bolts there, you're going to be wearing the Praetor suit for this one for reasons I haven't quite figured out, and you also will be experiencing the Walk of Shame should you die at any point in this map. And of course, you lose all of your weapons and stuff as well, but you can always go back and re-get them. Now, there's some really neat ways that exploration has been encouraged in this map. Some of the ways that weapons were hidden, and just some really great opportunities to check out what's going on in this map. Now, there were a couple things that were a little weird with it, like the scaling was a little weird in places. I happened to run into a chair that seemed a little bigger than it should have been, things of that nature. The cabin itself is also very cramped, and it's very difficult to try to have combat in it, and in some cases mobs will kind of squirt through the walls in their attempt to try to get to you, so it feels a little weird. There are also some custom mechanics in there that feel really poorly explained. One of them in particular is a section where you do take on a Mancubus demon form, which really actually kind of feels a little out of place, all things considered. But, you know, all of that having been said and gotten out of the way, this is definitely a map worth your time. It's part of that reality bending series that watstha has made a name for himself with. It's a whole lot of fun. It's really great to look at. It's fun to play, fun to explore, and it really sets the mood in a fantastic way. So definitely check it out with map ID EY4W2U6T. That's Map for Evil Dead Cabin by watstha, and it will swallow your soul. Let's take a quick break here to go over something I just came up with here. It's an idea I call Snapshot Challenge. Now, the idea behind the Snapshot Challenge is that I give you a little homework assignment, just a little fun challenge that you can do and, you know, get your creative juices flowing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one I'd like to try out this week. You see, I was playing a map the other day that had Infinite Chainsaw and BFG in it. Now, every time I run into an Infinite Chainsaw BFG map, I think, oh my goodness, what a slog. This is just not fun. But then I was thinking, what if you could make a map that had Infinite Chainsaw or Infinite BFG and it was actually fun, engaging, and challenging? So that's going to be the challenge this week. Your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to make a map that has Infinite Chainsaw, Infinite BFG, or both, and it's fun, challenging, and exciting. Now, here are the rules for that. First of all, you're going to keep that to 3 modules or less. You're going to shoot for a par time of about 10 minutes, and, very important, you're going to mark those maps with custom tag SS1. All right, only maps that are marked SS1 in the custom tags will be considered, because that's how I'm going to go look for that stuff. Now, the cutoff date, you have until September 21st, 2017 to come up with your idea for your map. And again, don't try to go too crazy with it here. We're really just trying to focus on that mechanic, that Infinite Chainsaw, Infinite BFG mechanic. Let's see your creativity in action. I am excited to see the entries for this very first Snapshot Challenge. Now, let's get back to the countdown. Holding the number 3 spot this week is Unrelenting Evil E1M4 by Doomguy161. Now, Unrelenting Evil series in general has been fantastic, and this one is no exception. It continues that tradition of old school style with a new school twist, and it does that in part thanks to its resetting checkpoint system, which basically resets you at the last checkpoint with the same ammo and the same enemies to kill if you do die. Provides a really great consequence of death without ruining the pacing or making you look at another loading screen. It's a fantastic design philosophy, and I love it. Speaking of design philosophies, it again adapts that old school way of doing things by giving you only single jump and no vaulting to work with. Now, there is some amazing custom geo and prop work here, and you are going to love exploring all of it. Not to mention the fact that the difficulty in this one has got that brutal old school feel even on the normal setting. It's frustrating, but it's frustrating in a good way. It uses smart, challenging combat scenarios to really keep you on your toes, and it even manages to make the possessed soldiers very, very dangerous in this one. You're going to rethink them as a lower tier enemy after playing this map. Now, a couple things I did want to point out here. The ending of this map did feel a little anticlimactic, and the reason for that is because there are going to be more episodes in the Unrelenting Evil series. They just haven't been published yet, and this is, of course, the most recent one right now. So, you know, it's not the end of the series yet. It's just sort of the end of what's already been published, so that's to be expected. Also, the other thing was I did feel that the difficulty did seesaw a little bit. Like, for example, the very last combat that you run into is definitely less difficult than many of the combats that precede it, so it doesn't really have that sort of natural progression. But you know what? It's all good in the hood with this one here. I mean, it's a fantastic looking map, plays great, feels great. You know, you're going to love this one, especially if you're a fan of the old school way of doing things. That's Unrelenting Evil E1M4 by Doomguy161. You're going to want to check out map ID WGMZ6BW6. Coming in number 2 this week is Grand Cathedral Courtyard by Void Runner. Now, this was an interesting story here. We were having a discussion on the side about old maps versus new maps, and he decided he wanted to revisit some old stuff and invited me to do the same, and I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw. Now, I'd already played this map once before, and I played it again, and it held up fantastically, and a lot of that has to do with that excellent custom geo that's going on there. It's become a staple of Void Runner's work, and it's still in full effect here. Still great after all this time. And of course, the Hordes of Horror are in full effect. It is wonderful to be able to just, lay waste to a bunch of imps, especially in the creative ways that the Hordes have been backed up by other mobs, things like soldiers and you got your big guys like your Mancubi and things like that are all backing it up and making those situations very dangerous, very fast, and very frenetic. It is a ton of fun to be involved in combat in this map because it is just dangerous, and those mobs are just so very well paired. Now, you're going to have a lot of ammunition to work with in this map because the mobs all drop ammunition when you're shooting at them. So it's just crunch and crunch and crunch and just keep on going, and it never lets up for a second. Now, there is a lives system, so you are going to be in some danger there. You're going to want to be on your toes, make sure you don't die too much, and that's what makes it great. Some of the things I did ding about it was it is some of Void Runner's earlier work, and as such, you can tell that some of the field of battles that were set up were, they were still very sort of square and boxy, little to no variation in that. And as you progress later in there, you start to see things with cover going on. But by and large, you're going to see that there are just some very wide open square areas to have your combat in. And of course, ammo conservation becomes kind of a non-issue, which seems a little weird because some of the boxes that you hit will have you picking up ammo, which feels a little weird considering that all the mobs also drop ammo. But these are just sort of little things, they don't really distract from the amount of fun you're going to have ripping and tearing your way through Grand Cathedral Courtyard, that is, by Void Runner. That map ID you're going to plug into your search is AWA5ZKVV. Check this one out. It is a classic. Before we check out this week's number 1, let's take a look at some of the other maps I upvoted this week, starting with Escape City 66 by Hunsderfex. And this was a fun map with some amazing custom geo, a great bridge blowing up sequence that looked like it was really fun to pull off, and some very, very challenging combat. Definitely worth checking out. It kicked my butt. Another map I upvoted this week was One Man Army Unstoppable Chaos by Joe Zombies 115, and it is easily my favorite Joe Zombies 115 map to date. Features some fun, challenging combat, crazy visuals, all kinds of great explosions and stuff going on, some wonderful custom systems, including a combo system that forces the player to change up their tactics, good story elements, a lot of creativity on display, definitely worth checking out. Another map I upvoted this week was Dual Demos Labs by Shadesmaster. Has some great story elements, it's a good use of recurring characters and bosses, and it raises some inspirational ideas for map design because it features this neat thing where you go from a classic map to a modern rendition of it. Very creative. Another map I upvoted this week was Path to Oblivion Part 1 by Xenion. Features some really good ganks, including some good double backing, some impressive boss battles on display here with a good combination of teleporting and minion wave generation with the bosses, some really good use of otherwise modules that I wouldn't otherwise like, and the combat was a lot of fun. Really like this one. And finally, Big Ballin' Grandma by DN Cashman was another one that I upvoted this week. It's a fast and frenetic map with good use of standard modules, some really good pacing, a challenging weapon loadout, and moderate difficulty with a good linear design. I had some fun with this one. I also want to give a quick honorable mention shout out to GREYWAEV Episode 1 by Perfect Pastol. Now, I didn't end up upvoting this one, but it's a DCR remix. It has some work put into it, which is rare for Perfect Pastol, and there's some good community service storytelling there. I'm going to give it a shout out because it did some creative use of the Devil City Ransom elements and made an attempt to incorporate myself and Bobkins into a story. In any case, those are all my upvotes for this week. You can check out the full plays by using the links that you'll find in the description of this video. Those replays, of course, are over on my Twitch page. But hey, enough jabbering on. Let's go check out number 1. At the top of the chart this week is DRAKATAK Rude Awakening by Drakiah. I was blown away by this map here. Had a whole lot of fun with it. You're going to see in this map here that he's using a very classic layout to things. That's not just the textures and everything, of course. The actual way that you navigate the map has a very classic feel to it, as well as mob placements and the sort of dangerous scenarios that are set up. Has a lot of old school ganks and double backs as well. It's really great for that. A lot of very cleverly hidden secrets and Easter eggs in this map. I ran across an especially amusing Corey one that I'm going to go ahead and just give a huge thumbs up for. Now you're going to see a great old school feel in this map, even though there's a few modern props scattered throughout, and a lot of that has to do with that really great design philosophy. It's a great demonstration of design philosophy here. Some great old school navigation and enemy setups, good double back ganks, and why are we even ignoring it? Excellent custom geo throughout, and all of that helps sandwich in that wonderful, challenging combat. It's gonna keep you on your toes and keep your butt good and kicked. Now, obviously, I do have to give a little feedback here, and really the only thing I can give feedback about on this map is that there's a lot of reading at the beginning, which does include some mentions of some features that are no longer in the current version of the map. I do understand that Drakiah is trying to work on some cool auto map functionality and get that perfected, and I understand that this was in the map at one point. The mention of those, I feel like it didn't necessarily need to be there in the final product, but literally the only thing I can complain about is that it's mentioning features that were phased out. Whatever, at least it shows a great philosophy of being upfront with the folks that play and subscribe to the map, and that is definitely something you should do. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend one more time you check out DRAKATAK Rude Awakening by Drakiah. That map ID is 7A2XKBEW, and by the way, Drakiah, aka Piece of Pie Software on YouTube, congratulations, you are my #1 snap map for this week. Congrats.
Oh man, is it over with already? Okay, well, hold on. That's really good chili. Anyway, that's been the top 5 for this week. I do appreciate you checking it out here. And again, if you have a map you'd like me to take a look at, go ahead and let me know in the script or in the comments of this video. Be sure you're leaving me a map ID and a brief description of your map, so I know what you think I'm going to like about it. See it through your filter, of course. And as always, if you like what you see here and you want to help me make more, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/zmanzilla and see all the ways that you can help this channel out. You can also check out my artwork at zazzle.com/drawnbutter. And if you want to watch me play these live, throughout the week I play on Twitch, usually starting around 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can check me out at twitch.tv/zmanzilla to watch me play these live. Watch me play these live. How did I ever get a stage show going when I can barely talk sometimes? Anyway, this has been the SnapMap Top 5 for this week. I've been ZManzilla, you've been lovely, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Bye-bye now.